Hey everyone, today we are playing Era. This is from Plan B Games. This is Medieval Age, which I can only assume means that we are going to have a modern and future age coming up eventually as well, or Renaissance or whatever. I have my player board here already set up to go. In a single player game, which is I'm going to demonstrate, you will start out with 1, 2, 3 longhouses, a farm, you'll have 3 walls, a keep, and 3 scorched earths. I will be playing up against the invisible Sir Philip, who will be trying to take my goods and resources each round, but maybe I'll get lucky and I'll take his instead, but we'll have to wait and see. I will play over the course of 8 rounds, and I will track it with this little marker here. This is basically a little sheet that tells me how much the buildings cost. They're all over here in this box, and I'll just keep picking them out. The ones over here are out of the game, which I don't know how the heck you would even be able to build all those anyways, but regardless, they're out of the game. So, first thing I do is I can roll up to 3 times. So we'll just get the game started, and we'll do just that. Okay, so swords, we'll demonstrate how those work later. I have the capacity, if I want, I can re-roll as many of these as I want. I probably will keep the 2 stone. I'm going to keep this one as well. And I'm probably going to keep... Let's keep the food, and then let's re-roll this 1 sword. 2 swords. Let's try one more time. 2 swords again. All right, so I'm done. So that was the roll phase. All right, now what we do is the collect phase. And what I mean by that, oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to roll Sir Philip's dice. So this is our invisible non-player. This actually worked out pretty well. So what I'll do is I'll explain how this works here in just a bit when we go to the extortion phase of the game. So, all right, so that's the roll phase. Now what we do is we count up disasters. And what I mean by disasters is these little skulls here. If any skulls would have been rolled, then I would have had to have counted those up. And depending on how many you got, you would be affected by this little outcome. In this case, there's none to count up, so nothing to worry about here. Nothing to see, people. Okay, so now we would do disasters. We're done. So we actually would do collect, actually right here. So after rolling your dice 3 times too, so it should be here. For some reason it's not, but you should collect your goods. And in this case, I have 3 food. 1, 2, 3. 2 stone. 1, 2. I have the option between 2 food or 1 stone. I'm going to take the stone. And then this is just swords. Now I have 1 farm, and for every farm you get to produce 1 food as well. So I'm going to move my marker up 1 more time to show I fed my people, or that I have enough food. Now that I have collected all my resources, I feed my people. So the way you feed is that you must have 1 food for every die that you possess. In this case, I possess 4. So I'm going to move my marker down from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So I have 3 food left for the beginning of the next round. So now we would do the disasters, because technically this is a little out of order the way that they do this here for the solo rules. But now we would do disasters, but I don't have any skulls, so nothing to see there. Now we go to the build phase. Unfortunately, because I did not roll any hammers, I cannot build anything because I need these little hammer symbols right here to be able to build. So that means I'm basically just stuck doing absolutely nothing this first round, but that's okay. I got a lot of resources. Maybe I'll get lucky the next round. So because I'm basically done, what we would do is we would go into the extort phase. And what that means is that we would compare shields versus swords. Sir Philip only has 1 sword, I have 2 swords, so therefore I outnumber his sword value, which means that now I can attack. Now let's say if this die here would have been this symbol here, then that means he would have blocked all of my swords. So 4 shields blocks the swords. So in this case, what I get to do is I get to choose any 1 good that he rolled. This is not a good, this is just an ability. This is not a good, it's just an ability. However, he does have 2 goods listed on this die, which these are trade. It's called trade. Think of it as gifts if you want. So you can place it right there, and I'm going to take one of those, and now I get to move up my peg on that. All right, so that would end round 1. We're going to move this peg down 1 right here to show that we are on round 2. So let's go ahead and roll again. Okay, I do have 2 build. I'm going to keep that. You know what? I'm pretty content with this. Oh, I need more food though. No, I don't. I'm good. Yep, I'm just going to keep this first roll. All right, so now he's going to roll his. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we are going to go into the collect step, which means that I'm going to collect 3 wood. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to collect 2 stone. And then I'm also going to collect 1 food from my farm. All right. Now that we're done with the collect, we're going to go into the feed, which means now all my food is gone because I had to feed all 4 of my dice. Disasters. Once again, I've gotten lucky and I've not rolled any skulls. So once that happens, I'll show you how we approach that. But for right now, I'm just kind of happy I've not had to explain that because disasters stink. Okay, so now that we're done with disasters, we're going to go into the build. So I rolled 2 hammers on here, which means I have the capacity now to build 2 things within my castle. All right, so let's see. I would like more walls because if you wall in all of your buildings, you get more victory points for them. So I would like that to happen. That would be awesome. I would like to possibly get more farms though, so I don't have to sweat bullets on trying to feed my people. And basically, if for every 1 thing I build, that's costing me, it's costing me 1 of my build actions. And I've only got 2 build actions to begin with, so I don't want to go too bananas here, building too much, and then, you know, basically not building the right things, you know what I'm saying? But I am just going to build 1 wood and I'm going to build an additional farm. So we're going to start off with that. I think that'd be the smartest thing. Let's build it. We don't want to place things directly next to each other, and the reason is because we don't want disease to kick in. And I'm sure at some point in this game disease will kick in, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It stinks. Farms take up a lot of space. That's the other thing that stinks about those. So, you know what? Regardless, I'm just going to build it just like that. Hey, man, if I get diseased, I get diseased. If he dies, he dies. Okay, so that would have cost me 1 wood, which I already spent. Now I'm going to be able to produce 2 food, and that'll at least feed half of my dice. But you know, I've got a lot of extra materials here, and I would probably like to try to build something a little bit better. So let's see what our options are. So it looks like a church here would require 1 trade, 1 stone, and 1 wood. And I do have that. And I was thinking about possibly building one of those. It would give me a white die. So basically I would get one of these, which can add the chance of me being able to get, you know, it's another mouth to feed though. So that's something that you have to take into consideration. The other one I like too here is this monastery. The monastery can be really good. This is how many victory points it's worth at the end of the game, and that gets doubled if you're able to enclose it inside of your walls. So that would be 4 wood, 2 stone, and 1 gift. Well, I could do that, and what that is kind of like an action where you can actually, you know, you can set your dice so that you're not, you know, getting kind of hosed over on just trying to chance your roll. So that would be this building right here. And just to be honest, no matter what I end up building, it's going to be the wrong thing. I am notoriously bad at this game for some reason. But regardless, that seems like it could be a really good idea. Before I take on another mouth to feed, let's build the monastery instead, because I'm not going to get an additional die. So that would be all my wood. That would be 2 stone and my 1 trade. So let's put all that down. Let's put our monastery in here. And we're going to put it just like that, because I don't want all these buildings to be touching, to be honest with you, because if I touch them, then the disease, I'll still get affected there, but I'd rather not get affected around the entire board if I don't have to. I don't know. I'm trying to figure what would be the best thing, because then I could still place something there. Oh, things diagonal don't count, so I could even do this. Because if they're diagonally touching, it doesn't count on the disease. And you'll know what I'm talking about in disease. It'll happen eventually. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. All right, so that was our build. Now what we would do is we would go into extort. So he does have 3 swords, but I have 4 shields. Nothing happens. So, all right, so let's go to round 3. Round 3, fight. So just gonna roll. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna roll our dice again, and now I need food. Okay, so remember, I'm gonna keep this one just to protect me from him. You know what? once again, I like what I rolled on the first turn. This is pretty incredible because I could use the monastery's power and set one die, but this will protect me from him. I've got my food now to feed my people. I can build twice, and I'm going to get some extra wood. I think this is good. All right. So as long as he doesn't roll more than 4 swords, and he did not, so I am safe. And I don't have any skulls. I mean, this is probably the luckiest game I've had so far while playing this. This is incredible. Okay, so we did our roll. Now we can collect. So let's go ahead and collect our items. So we have 3 wood. We have the capacity to build twice. We get 3 food. And then we have 2 farms, so we're going to technically have 5 food. And now we're going to spend 4 food to feed our dice. And now we are going to do disasters. There's no disasters, which is shocking. I've not rolled a single skull this whole game. They'll come. They'll come. Well, at least when I expect it. So regardless, though, I get to build 2 times. And I was thinking about doing another farm. So let's do that first. So let's do another farm. And this time we are going to space it. I don't want to take a chance on that too much. So that would cost 1 wood. So, okay. And now, let's see. Let's do 1 additional farm, I'm thinking. No, let's do a wall. I'd like to do a wall. Okay. Let's just do a... Let me see. So that would be 4. I could do a keep for 3. It would give me an additional die, and I don't know if I want to mess with an additional die yet. So let's just do a small wall here. Right there. Okay. And that would cost me 1 stone. And that's listed right here. No matter what size the wall is, you just basically get... it's cost 1 stone. They're worth no points, but if you can completely enclose these buildings inside, then you get double the victory points of what these buildings are on the inside. So it's certainly worth it if you can make it happen. All right, so I am done building. I believe I did everything I needed to do there. Now we would go into extort. He has no swords, I have no swords, nothing happens there. And that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and advance this to round 4. We are pretty much halfway through the game already. Okay, so I don't necessarily need to build that much, and I'm going to need food. So once again, I'm just going to use my monastery's ability to change this one to food. And I'm going to stick with that. Now, let's roll for Sir Philip. Sir Philip did not roll any swords or anything. I'm getting to the point where I want to start changing this to swords. And I'm going to go after you, bro. And I'm going to steal your stuff. And you're going to cry about it. Whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our collection, which that's 3 more food. So it's going to be a total of 6 food, counting my farm. So that'll put us at 7. We're going to be able to build twice. Let's get 3 more. So it's going to put us at 5. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so now disasters. We have, feed. First feed. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now disasters. We have no disasters that are going to trigger because once again, I am extremely lucky this game. The last game I played, I was rolling skulls left and right. It was crazy, bro. It was crazy. And this game so far, I have been extremely lucky not to roll a single skull after 4 rounds. Enough bragging. So let's build. We can build 2 times. All right, so let's see. Lumber mill. A lumber mill would allow me to collect wood, so that would cost 3 wood. Let's build one of those. 1, 2, and 3. And a lumber mill looks like this. And what this is going to allow me to do, once again, it's not adding a die to my pool, so I'm not going to have to feed it. Eventually I will add dice. I want dice. But, I don't know. I'm doing things a little different this time. So let's see how it pans out for me, right? So let's place it... I don't know, man. Get in there. Let's place it like there. No. I don't like that. Let's do... I don't know why I thought about flipping it around like that was going to make any difference. Look at these pegs, man. Trying to line them up drives you crazy. There we go. Let's do that. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. So that was one build, and I did spend my resources. Now let's build another wall. So let's go down here. Let's get a little 2-pegger, which would be this one. Let's just place it right there. There we go. All right. So now we're all sealed up on this side. We still have place to build over on this side. We need to continue, see if I get lucky and maybe enclose this entire area. It'll be tough, but it's not impossible. So, all right, so that would be done with the build phase. Now we would go to the extort. Nothing happens because he didn't roll any swords. I've got plenty of shields, so let's just advance the peg. We are now on round 5. So we have 5, 6, 7, and 8, which means counting this round, we have 4 total rounds to go. So, all right. Oh, look, finally got a skull. But you know what's fun about this is I can change this because that's what the monastery is awesome about. So if I wanted to, I can go ahead and just change this now, and we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to change it to, let's go with more stone. No, let's go to build. Yeah, let's go to build. There we go. And we're going to keep these, and then let's re-roll this one 2 more times. 2 swords. 4 shields. There we go. All right, let's roll his. All right, so you can't hurt me. If I would have stuck with the 2 swords, I would have gotten another gift out of him. Oh well. I mean, he's got 2 gray dice though, so I mean, it's all just kind of a crapshoot. You have no idea what he's going to get. All right, so now that we're done with the rolling, we will do our collecting. So I'm going to get 2 more stone, and I'm going to get 3 wood. 1, 2, 3 plus. This lumber mill, if you look right here, gives me 2 additional wood. And then I have 3 farms, so 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Man, we're cooking with gas. I mean, I turned on the camera and all of a sudden I'm like some sort of savant with era. Of course, I haven't scored my points yet, so we'll just wait and see about that, right? Okay, so we could start building some additional walls and go ahead and finish getting this enclosed. I don't know. Is that necessary? Let's try to see what else we could build. We can't build anything that would require a gift, and I have 2 builds that I can potentially do. Let's see. What about a guild house? That's right here. That might be kind of hard to fit in there. Or a hospital. Oh, hospital needs a gift. Or a trade. A church needs a trade. A townhouse. So a townhouse, if I build that, you get one of these blue dice, which are pretty good, really. But then once again, I'm going back to having to feed these things, and I'm nervous about feeding things. If you can't feed something, you just lose 1 point here. So I really do wonder if doing a townhouse would be a good idea. It would only cost me 2 stone. It would give me this die, and then I could start going up, get extra gifts. See, the chances you getting gifts are pretty high. I would have liked to have done a church if I had a gift, but this would allow me now the capacity to get one of those churches. It would increase my capacity at least. Let's get one of those. All right, so let's spend 2 stone on that. All right, let's see. It's one of these. And let's just, what do you think? I don't know. Seems like some wasted space in there, but should we do that? You think that's a good spot? I think it's probably a good spot. I mean, we're halfway through the game. Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, so I spent that. All right, now we can build one more thing. Should I build just one more farm? Seems how I'm going to have an extra die to feed. Yeah, let's just build one more farm. If we could build something that takes more lumber. I mean, I could do another lumber mill, but that would be dumb. I could do another longhouse, but that just gives me a yellow one. That's not really necessarily worth it. I could still do that guild house. I think I am going to. We're going to build this guild house, so that's 5 wood and 2 stone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just build it while you got the resources. You know what I mean? Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Let's build it like this. Okay. All right. So that'll be the end of that. Did I feed my dice? I don't think I fed my dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I fed my dice. Okay. All right, so now we're done with the build step. Now we would go into extort. I have enough shields to block his sword, so nothing's happening. Nothing to see here. All right, round 6, fight. All right, now I can set one die with my monastery. So we're gonna set this one, and we are gonna set it to stone. Yeah, we'll set that stone. And then I'm just gonna keep this roll. And you watch, this is where he's gonna end up rolling more swords than me. Well, technically he didn't, but he does have shields, so we just like kink, kink, kink. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep this. I think that's good enough. So now what we would do, let's see, we will collect. So I could roll up to 3 times, but you have to remember, the more times you roll, the greater chances are that, I mean, I don't want to roll skulls, and I've been so lucky this game so far. There's no sense in chancing it anymore. So, all right, so we'll just set that up there. No big deal. So 2 stone, 1, 2. I'm going to collect my 3 food. 1, 2, 3. So food or stone, let's go with 2 stone each because I have enough to feed my people. And then I can build twice. All right, so now that we're done collecting, let's feed. This time I'll remember to do it right now. And now we would do disasters. No skulls, no disasters. Luckiest game I've ever had. Now we're going to go into build. All right, so for build, let's see. We've, we get a couple more. 1, 2, wood. There we go. So we have 4 and 4 on wood. We need those gifts. That's killing us because it's preventing us from building some things that could be beneficial. Oh well, we'll get there when we get there, right? So I think it might be prudent to consider building more walls. So I'm going to spend my first build action to build a long wall here. Boom, just like that. And then I'm going to spend my second action to build a long wall again. There we go. There we go. All right. Looks good to me. Okay. So now we would go to extort. We both have the same amount of swords. Nothing happens. Luckiest game I've ever had of this. This is crazy with how lucky I have been. Okay. Oh, I did. I got 2 skulls this time. But thanks to good old monastery, I can reset one. So we're going to set this one to food. And now we will roll for him. Oh, look at that. No swords. I mean, how lucky can a man get? This is insane. I have never played this well. So I only have this round and one more. So I got to finish walling this off. That's very important. But hey, before we get into that, let's go into the collection stage. So that's 3, so 6 total food. I'm going to go ahead and just feed my people real quick and put it down to 1, okay? That does give me 1 wood, and then I do have a skull. We'll cover that in a minute. 2 stone. And look at that. 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yay. Perfect. Okay. So now that we've collected, and I fed already, we're going to do disasters. I've got 1 skull. So brigands, basically I just either go down on my track or I lose 1 resource. I'll go down on my track. It's kind of the same. It's half a dozen one another because I get 1 point for every resource due to this guild house at the end. So if I lose a resource, I'm still losing a point. So given the fact that I have that, I'll just go down on the disaster track. No big deal. So I have 1 build that I can do. So let's see. Man, I got a lot of stuff here, so let's build something big. You know what I'm saying? Cathedral takes 6 gifts. Woo! That doesn't happen very often. But a university takes 3 gifts. That's not a terrible idea. My cat's clawing at the door. He wants in. He wants to come play with me. He hears my voice. But I could do another monastery. That would allow me to set 2 dice. That's pretty good too, don't you think? Yeah, let's do another monastery, dude. So that'd be 1. We're going to go down 4 on the wood. And then we're going to go down 2 on the stone. Let's get a second monastery. Oh, how much was a hospital? Hospital. I couldn't afford a hospital, right? Monastery was 4 wood. No, I was a little too far away, but I might build a hospital next. So if that's the case, let me see something real quick. If I was to build a hospital, I would put it probably right here. This is what's tough, is trying to plan all this out. So if I build this, say, right there, or if I build it like this. There we go. And then we'll take that out. All right. I know it's kind of cheating in a little bit, right? But not really. Oh boy, this may not have been a good idea given the fact I still need to build 2 walls. But that's okay. We're going to be able to set 2 dice. And we've got plenty of stone. So we should be safe to be able to do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, this is our last round. All right, I got to finish sealing this in. Very important. Oh boy. Okay. And then I need at least 1 of these, because otherwise I'm going to lose points on that too. All right. I'll explain all this when we go to the scoring, but I got a lot to think about. Okay, so let's do it. All right. So there's 2 build. I think I'm going to need an additional build. Let me see something real fast. This is where this game blows my brains out. So that'd be 1 and then 2 build. So I could do that. So that'd be enough to enclose everything. So 2 build is technically enough for me to do everything I want to do. I don't need all these gifts. So we're going to change this into, well, where's it at? There we go. I'm going to change this into that with 1 monastery. Then with my second monastery, I might just leave what I have here, to be honest with you, with the exception, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I want to leave that like that. Because I'll get more wood. I'm actually going to get, yeah, that's fine, okay. And then I'm going to probably need more food. I'm going to produce 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to be 1 food short, but I could take the penalty instead. I'm mainly just going to be building 2 walls on my last turn, unless I change this to a build action again. But the guild house is going to give me a victory point for every resource I have left over at the end of the game. So I kind of wouldn't mind just getting as much resources as I can, to be honest with you. So if I change this to say that's going to give me 6, 7, 8, which would max out my wood, because I'm going to get 2 from the lumber mill as well. Looks good to me. All right. And I don't care if he steals 1. It's no big deal, which he will. Finally, he'll steal 1. Okay, so. All right. So now that we've rolled, we will go into the collect. So I'm going to get 1 on that track. That was important to get, guys, because, and I'll show you when we go to the scoring phase. 1 gift. 6, 7, 8, so that's going to max me out on the wood. And then I will get 3 food, but I'm not going to have enough, so I'm going to go to 0, and I have to go down 1 on this track because I couldn't feed my people. All right, so now that I'm done with that, I'm just going to use my 2 build actions in a row. I'm sorry, it should have been disasters first, but I rolled no skulls again, so I'm lucky. So I am going to spend my 2 stone. And I'm just going to basically enclose all this to maximize my points. And let's see, it would be this one right here. All right, and that's it. So that's the end of the game. Let me see here. Then he would extort me, which he's just going to take 1 of those. That's all that happens here. Or I could have lost 2 on this track, but that'd be rather silly to do that. Okay, so that was the end of the 8th round. And now let's go to our scoring. Whoops, dropping things all over. All right, so basically your keep, you're going to get 1 point for each keep you have, but a keep is actually, which is kind of silly given the fact they should just put 2. A keep is counted as surrounded automatically, so it doubles its point automatically. So it is worth 2. So I have 1 of them, so I get 2 points. Longhouses, I get 1 point per longhouse, but because they're all enclosed, I'm going to get 2 points. So 2, 4, 6. Townhouse, I have 1 right here, so that's going to be worth 2 points. I have 0 churches. Farms, I get 1, 2, 3 points for my farms. Lumber mill is worth 2 points, but because it is walled inside, it gets double, so that's worth 4 points. The hospital I did not build. Planning on it. Didn't happen though. Excuse me. Monastery are worth 4 points. I have 2 of them, so that's 16 points I got for those. Pretty sweet, right? Market. I did not build a market. Ooh, I should have remembered to build a market. They are worth so stinking many points. Should have built a market there. Oh, that would have been so many points. Oh well. Guild Hall is worth 3 points. I've got 1 here, so it's worth 6. University. I didn't build a university, right? No, I didn't build a university. Cathedral. Did not build a cathedral. All right, market bonus. I would have gotten 2 points for each open space. So if I'd have built the market here instead, where are you at, market? Which is this thing. And let me just show you hypothetically if I would have, okay? I would have gotten, for every open space around orthogonally connected, each peg, I would have gotten a point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would have been 8 points I would have placed right here. Plus, it would have been worth 4 points. So it would have been just 4 additional points than what I got, but I wouldn't have been able to set my dice like I did. So a half dozen one another, right? So let's just say 0. All right. Guild Hall bonus. That's my Guild Hall. I get 1 point for every resource left over. So 2, 10 points for me. That worked out well. University. If I would have built a university, I would collect these points from this, which would have been 1 point. I did not, so 0. Cathedral. The cathedral scores 1 point for every die you have at the end of the game. I do not have the cathedral, so I did not score that. Culture. So you score the points for your culture. So I have 1 point for my culture track. That's what this white peg is. Most culture. As long as I have 1, I score most culture. So I get a bonus 5 points for that. Most walled area. So what you do is you count the pegs on the inside of your walled area, and then if you have the most basically holes on the inside of your enclosed area, you will score 10 points. Given the fact I'm playing a solo game and I did enclose the entire thing, that was worth 10 points to me. Disaster points, -1. I get -2 points. Wow, I got lucky on this game. All right, so let's grand total this bad boy up. All right, so we're looking at 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17, that would be 13. So that would be 33. So 39, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 65, 63 points. All right, so how well did I do? I am a peasant. A fair start. At least you have your freedom. The thing about it is, being a peasant, at least I'm not one of them disgusting, filthy serfs. That's the way I look at it. But I was just, a couple of points away from being a merchant, which is a good deal. Can you barter up? How in the heck you're supposed to ever become a pope, I have no idea. I guess they wouldn't put 100 points on here if it's not possible. As for me, it's probably never going to happen. Now, if I would have built the market here, that would have made me a merchant. So that would have at least been a little bit more respectable. But as it is, I'm a happy peasant. I have a happy home. I have a happy wife and a happy life and all that good stuff. So, all right, so that's the solo experience. And if you were to play with other players, it is very much the same, with the exception of is that there's no round marker. It doesn't count you down. The game ends when you run out of a certain amount of buildings, and that's what these tokens are for. So you would turn them like face up whenever a certain building, just like when you run out of any type of a building, you turn this up, and then it's kind of like an end game trigger. And then once all of them are turned up, you know that that's the last round of the game. Now, let's take a look at some of these disasters that could have happened because you guys didn't see any of them occur. So if you were to roll one skull, you saw that. Basically, you either lose a resource or you just go down one on the disaster track. Disease, that's why you see me space out my buildings so much like I did, because disease is where it'll come and bite you in the butt. You get +1 down on your disaster mark track right here for every building that's considered clustered. And clustered means is that they're touching orthongally, not diagonally, but orthongally. And that's why you see like what I did with the monastery here. I diagonally connected, which would not have affected me with disease. Treachery. Treachery means opponents scorch an unwalled area. Now, in a single player game, that means it affects you. But in a multiplayer game, it means you actually affect your opponents instead. 4 skulls is a fire. You lose a whole building. 5 means you attack. Opponents lose an unwalled building. And 6 is a revolt. Basically, you just lose all your trade goods. So, that would suck. All right, so what else are we looking at here that I should cover? The boards are difficult to read. I've seen people painting them. So if you notice, there are little embedded emblems here, and you can kind of just, wash over those with some paint, and that'll certainly make them stand out so that you could see them a little bit better. But the lighting, I got the natural light coming from the window. That's what's creating the shadow. But the reason I did that is because if I don't have the natural light shining in, and if I'm using artificial light, I can't see anything on this board. So I really would recommend, if you get this, that you're going to wash the boards and color it in, and that'll highlight that a little bit more. There are other buildings. I think we covered all of these. A cathedral is very difficult to build, but it does give you 5 victory points, and then you get 1 victory point for every die you have at the end of the game. A university will give you 4 victory points, and then basically you get to score whatever it is that you're on your white peg here. You'd be able to score that 2 times, which is pretty cool. Guild Hall, we did cover that because I built one. Market, we already talked about that. Monastery, we built. Hospital. So basically, the reason I was talking about a hospital is because if I would have been able to build that, every building that it's adjacent to is immune to disease, which means you want to try to touch as many buildings as you can with it. And then if you do roll the double skulls, then anything around the hospital will not be affected. Lumber mill you saw, the farm you saw, the church. Basically, it just gives you a white die. So let's take a look at a white die. It's going to give you more of these knowledge, the books, but it does come with a price. It gives you a little skull there. Now there is a single one you could possibly get. Feathers. So the way feathers work is that if I had one of these in a single player game, and then let's say that this was the final roll, okay, and he rolled 4 total swords, I could say, okay, well, I take my feather and any die I choose and I re-roll them. And then I would hope I got just that. Dude, even goofing around and practicing, I'm rolling like a maniac, and yet I'm still a peasant. And now then I would have enough to be able to defend myself. But basically you take the feather and any die of your choice and you re-roll them. Let's see, a townhouse basically just gives you the blue die, which you saw the blue die. You could get another yellow die with the longhouse. The keep, you would get more gray dice, and then walls. So that basically covers all of the buildings. That covers the player board. We've seen the buildings in here. They're awfully beautiful. And basically that would be the game. So, all right, you want to know what my impression is of this game? I'm going to be honest. Single player rocks. So much fun playing single player. I enjoy this, and I've played it single player now a couple of times, and every time I have really enjoyed my experience. I think that it's one of those ones that does play pretty fast when you're playing by yourself, or you can just pace it at your own however you want. But ultimately, I just think it is a lot of fun playing this game solo. You can continue building up your own dice pool, and you don't feel like you're being affected by the other players and their actions too much, because I'm going to be honest, that's where multiplayer, I feel like this game suffers, and I get absolutely bored out of my brains when I play 4-player with this. And the reason is because turns take so long. And so for instance, if you don't roll any of these, so let's say this was my roll, okay? All right, so I go a whole round, I collect all my resources. That's great, right? But the problem about that is that I can't build, and I don't have anything to defend myself with. And what happens when that occurs is, let's say, this is what it looks like with all the other players, and they all rolled these types of, icons. So they all have swords, okay? So what ends up happening is that this player now can extort everybody at the table, which means then I lose a resource of their choice. And if I refuse that resource, then I have to move my marker down. Now, this player could extort me again. They can't extort this player because they had the most swords, but this player would be able to extort this player and myself again, so I lose another resource. Then this player could extort me, so I would lose 3 resources and I can't build, and you're just sitting there waiting for the turn to end because honestly you're not doing anything other than just watching everybody else take their actions. And the last game I played with 4 players, that happened to me 2 turns in a row, and I literally was just sitting there bored to tears because I was like, wow, this is insane how long this is taking for people to decide what they want to build and then what they want to extort. And then, it was not, I ended up scoring 18 points at the end of the game. That's how bad it was. I just wanted to get it done, to be honest. The other problem that I have when I'm playing with a lot of players is that, it's bad enough that I'm having to deal with these, all right? I can handle those, all right? But this is, once again, this is kind of a luck of the roll. Monasteries help. I get that, but it is luck of the roll on what you're going to get, whether or not you can actually defend yourself. But then it's also the luck of the roll of the disasters. Now, if disasters only affected me, I could accept that to a degree, but given the fact that my opponents can actually, so like treachery or attack, both of those are that I rolled skulls, but yet I'm affecting you. It's not affecting me. I think that that's just too much for my mind to wrap around as an acceptable amount of confrontation in the game. That should be a little bit more simple than this, in my opinion. I feel like, I'm having to defend myself with these swords. I'm having to guess that my opponents aren't, which I really don't have any control over any of these things. They just automatically happen. And if let's say if I didn't have let's say this was here and this was here. So let's say I'd already had all these scorched, and then if they rolled another set of those where opponents scorch an unwalled area, now I lose a building. And I would have to place one there. And you could just see how that starts to add up. In a 4-player game, 2 players in one turn both rolled treachery, which means that everybody was receiving at least 1 a scorched earth, and 2 players received 2 scorched earths. And I don't know, that just seemed a little much to me. So all that combined, it just makes, for me personally, a very boring and frustrating multiplayer experience. With 2 players, still a good game. 3 players, nah, I don't even want to play. And 4 players, absolutely not. I would never play this again with 4 players. I absolutely hated that experience. Solo absolutely rocks. So you need to justify, what does this game mean to you? Are you a solo player? If you are, this is fun. I think you'll have a good time. Now, it could become a bit redundant given the fact that all you're doing is just trying to go for a high score, but it's still fun. Are you somebody who plays mainly just with 1 other player? If you are, once again, I think you're going to have fun. If you're going to play with more than that and you're trying to bust it out on game night, I mean, I'm just giving you my opinion on it. I don't enjoy it, but you might. You kind of see how the game plays, and you'll just have to base your opinion off of that. So I hope that gave you guys a great idea on how Era plays. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, please leave them below. If you would do me a favor, hit the like button on the video. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. More videos coming up in the future. I want to thank Plan B for sending this game to me. Much appreciated. And thank you for your support. Bye-bye.